अपने पसंदीदा मौजू पर शोज़ देखने के लिए लाइक और सब्सक्राइब करना ना भूलिएगा और बेल बटन पर क्लिक कीजिएगा।
Hi everyone, this is Mustafa Hassan on Haqaiqtv with your show Haqaiq with Hassan Bitalbi. Hi viewers, today we're going to be talking about with our entrepreneur Sarah, who is dealing with CFAC a lot, also dealing with emerging markets, and is a leader in our business community here in Lahore, Pakistan, actually all over Pakistan. So Sarah, thanks for joining us today. The reason we invited you here today is to discuss the post-COVID nature of business with the trends that are changing the world. I'll give you a quick example. I was on LinkedIn Learning yesterday, and there are a lot of topics on there listed for coaching as to how to do work more productively in a remote environment. So, just to set the tone for everything is becoming remote, as you are very well aware, and so is the market changing, so are the business needs, and as well as an employee or an entrepreneur, the needs are changing as well as to what to do business and where to do business. So can you please just give us a little background on the paradigm shift that is happening in the post-COVID world?
Well, to start off with, before pre-COVID, there were about 15, 17 emerging markets which were seen as the hopefuls for the future. These were spread across Africa, Middle East, Latin America, and Asia. So post-COVID emerging markets, during this COVID time, G20, IMF, World Bank, they got together and they put a fund together along with the Chiang Mai initiative. The ASEAN countries, people who are putting funds together to help out poor countries, not only to fix their own governance and give the backlog of taxes and resources, but also to help out poor countries. And they all said that investment was an insufficient response. Then in Africa, emerging economies that are suffering are Morocco, Egypt, Kenya. These three suffer because they have a travel and tourism industry which went downhill. In the Middle East, Kuwait, UAE, Saudi and Bahrain are concerned with OPEC plus prices ranging from $54 to $91. So they're seeking to stabilize their countries, and they are saying that the vaccines that will come out will not change the oil prices. Then in Latin America, another lost decade in Latin America, emerging markets, Argentina, Mexico, Ecuador, these will suffer and these were seen as very strong emerging economies. And in Asia, we are doing well. I have a whole list of what we are doing. But in Asia, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, and South Korea are seeing negative growth. So two shocks are hitting emerging markets. One is the collapse in oil prices, and the second is the COVID-19 third wave. They're expecting a third wave of COVID-19.
I don't know, Sarah, if the first wave actually ever went away. It just seems to be a continuous struggle that is going on. Yeah, we're still fighting the first wave, I believe. So anyway, so Sarah, to your point,
it's a change in the world order.
Yeah, exactly. It really is. But let's come back to the first point that you made. I want to focus on that for just a minute or two, which was the oil thing that you mentioned. Now, the oil fight is not just to do with the COVID thing. Sure, the COVID has slowed down the consumption of oil, hence the production has been affected, right? So there I agree with you. But the fight between the OPEC countries and with the Russian country and Saudi Arabia and all that, now Russia dealing with its own coronavirus thing and putting a bunch of money and I think they announced $1 billion in their assistance for their own people as well. They do not have the economic power to fight with Saudi Arabia and some other ones. However, Russia, Venezuela, and Iran together, they might be able to, but not by Russia itself. So Saudi do have a little bit of an upper hand over there, but they are running out of money real fast as well. I think when oil went down to almost a negative zero, Saudi Arabia was pumping in about, I think, over about 10 to 12 billion, maybe I'm mistaken about the exact number, per quarter of their own money to keep Russia fighting, or to keep them, just like once you knock someone, you keep them on the ground. So
Yeah,
there is
they're
that. So
expecting oil
yeah,
wars.
yeah, exactly. So to
Yeah,
your
they're
point, there is
expecting
that as
oil
well.
wars because according to S&P, according to my figures, the range of oil per barrel is $54 to 91.
Sure.
$54 in Kuwait, $70 in UAE, $83 in Saudi, and $91 in Bahrain. So the
Yeah.
entire Middle East is fairly engaged in one oil price,
Mhm.
and between 54 and 91 is like 100%.
Yep.
100% oil price. So Saudi is on the high side.
So what do you see happening in Asia? What do you see happening in Asia? I want to talk about the technology side of things as well. So China, Taiwan, where most of your manufacturing industry is for cell phones, high chip design and everything. South Korea as well, same thing. Japan, now they are suffering a lot. What do you see happening with those markets in terms of technology?
Well, Cambodia, Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia are going to become the backup countries for China's labor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they already have direct market with the USA, but they are going to become the background for China's labor. All the labor is going to run off to Vietnam, and they're seeing the trajectory is positive for these East Asian countries.
Okay.
The trajectory is positive. But COVID again becomes a problem in the middle of flying the ointment. Yeah, everybody who wants to talk business has to talk via COVID first.
Yep.
And what you said in the beginning about remote teams, now, like you said, they're offering courses on NGO platforms also to figure out how to run a remote team and how to figure out the logistics of this new world order. Because mostly it's because, due to currency. American currency is devaluing, and Facebook, Google, Amazon, and Netflix, and all these big billion on cryptocurrency. So Bitcoin has gone very high. The Bitcoin has increased. I mean, they're saying from $7,000 it'll go up to $20,000.
Okay.
So cryptocurrencies, they're saying digital currency, because everybody doesn't have access to gold. At this time, the main advice that these researchers give us is buy gold, hoard gold. It's going to go up to $10,000. And if it's going to go up to $10,000, then what will be the world situation at that time?
Yeah.
So it's food for thought, because they told us beforehand that pharmaceuticals would go up $2,000 without us knowing that it concerned a vaccine.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to reinvent this. $2,000 on the stock market, 2,000%, sorry, on the stock market is a pretty high spike.
Well, most of the like
this was all planned.
Yeah,
it's
like
a planned pandemic.
Like Sarah, we are talking on Zoom right now. Zoom stock itself has doubled since March, and it was a massive IPO as it came out by itself. But the stock is doubled, and you see the same trend with all these big company stocks and everything. In where I have a lot of people that I connect with in the Western world, like in the States and everything, in the Bay Area especially, there's the Silicon Valley. Companies are now actually closing down offices, like Zillow, which is a big,
45 companies hit bankruptcy.
So Facebook has told their employees they don't need to come to work anymore. They can work remotely forever. So has Zillow. So has Uber. There's some really big players in the market right now that have adapted, are not adapting, that have actually adapted to this remote work stuff. And because of that, the real estate market, which was massively insane in those areas, you can rent a studio, which is like 300, 400 square foot studio for $3,000, is down to 2,000 right now, and companies are leaving that. So we're going to see a big shift in the real estate market, because all these hotspot areas for business are not going to be there so much anymore.
Yeah. Pakistan itself, because of COVID, we've seen a decline in physical tourism, entertainment, retail, luxury goods, aviation, real estate, like you were saying, coal,
Yeah.
oil and gas, and the automotive sector. These have all seen a decline. And the opportunities that have sprung up during COVID are food processing, consumer goods, logistics, communication, financial services, e-commerce, ed tech, which is education technology, online
Sure.
studies,
Sure.
health tech, online doctors, and textiles. So we see increased opportunities in these areas. And along with this, for your information, Malaysia and Indonesia and the South Asian country, ASEAN countries have set up a Chiang Mai initiative to fund their regions, countries, as opposed to getting funding from IMF or World Bank or
Sure.
ADB or
All right. Hey, sorry, I lost you there for a minute or two, but we're back online. So we were talking about the paradigm shift. Can we just come back to the conversation, please?
yeah. There's a list of seven in a post-COVID world, and this means renewable energy, digitized banking and retail, contactless payments like phone apps and mobile phone apps, robotics in industry, e-commerce, green solutions, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and blockchain. Now, all of these constitute sectors that you can develop on their own, and all of the above are part of a post-COVID paradigm shift. That we're seeing a change in world order, we're seeing a change in cashless currencies, we're seeing a change in gold, OPEC. I mean, the entire post-COVID arena is going to be electric cars and robotics, and it's going to take till 2023 for them to put it in place, if you look at it from a realistic perspective.
Yeah, no, it's okay. So
And
no, that's good to know.
and
But a lot of the stuff that we are talking about here, that has been coming for a while. So let's say robotics. You mentioned robotics. You mentioned e-commerce. You mentioned the technology adoption in third world countries. Let's just say telecommunications, for example. Let's say cell phones. You're very well aware of the fact that the telecommunication adoption by itself in African countries is way more than, let's say, in America. It's in the westernized world.
yes,
A lot more people have cell phones. A lot more
yes,
people have those kind of connections. So that was already there. But yeah.
And the countries that are planning development in Africa, they're planning that like fit solution reports, like big research and analysis think tanks. They say that tomorrow's future delivery in Africa will not be through road systems and railway systems like they're making all over the world. They will be through drones.
Yeah.
And African people already know that the future technology that's going to come to Africa is very high tech.
No, I actually have a very good,
they can to control it.
You're absolutely right. I have a very good friend of a good friend of mine who actually launched a drone program for medicine delivery as part of a UN program. I believe it was Kenya they started with first, but they're spreading most of the places in Africa right now. So they started like 6 years ago, and they started with a UN program for remote areas to deliver medicine over drones.
Yeah.
Over drones.
Yeah, I think it's already begun. That's what was at the back of my mind, but I wasn't sure about my facts.
Yeah,
so
it's already happening. Yeah, it's already happening.
Yeah. So then post-COVID demands become things like all over the world. Yeah. They're saying now, for example, in the NGO times when we were working in NGOs and they were funded, they used to say, think local, act global. And now they're saying that less globalized, more localized. They're thinking of, like how each country will become self-sufficient. And this will lead to eventually each country becoming self-sufficient and saying less globalized, more localized. And affordable products, demand for food products, fruits and vegetables is going to increase.
Yeah.
Warehouse goods are going to become the norm. And online grocery businesses have shot up. Is sab mein asan, there's things like Airbnb for tourism, Uber for taxis, Microsoft for internet, Apple for iPhones, Google took data, Netflix took movies. So all of the world order is changing from cinemas and taxi. Everything is changing towards technology.
It already has pretty much.
So it's a high-tech revolution.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a high-tech revolution, and it's going
Absolutely.
to take over our lives. I mean, the Gujarati like Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, and Bill and Melinda Gates. This is their vision.
Yeah.
This
No,
is
it was
what
it,
they're
it
planning
was
for the world.
it was bound to. So let me just recap what we spoke about here for our listeners over here. So the post-COVID world looks like, from our conversation recapping it, looks like it's going to take at least a year or 2 years to get some normalcy back. On top of that, it's never going to be, it's like you said, it is like a new world order. So it's not like it's going to be normal times like old times. We will have to adapt with our own changing behavior, doing things remotely, doing things, using our phones more, using e-commerce more. So we'll have to adapt to that. And even when the business do come back, that's where all the business will be. So thanks for joining us today, sir. I really do appreciate you giving us time. And I hope our listeners will get a lot of beneficial information from this. And I hope you will join us again soon.